Welcome to Biblical Hebrew, Class 2. We really moved forward today, and I was impressed by everyone's reading. Kol hakavod. In this class, we went over the homework, the oral review, and the new vocabulary, and then we learned about the gender of nouns. We learned how to guess whether a noun is masculine or feminine. For instance, nouns ending with "a" followed by a "he" are usually feminine. For instance, na'ara, mishpacha. Nouns ending with the letter "taf" are also usually feminine. Emet, bat. And names of cities or countries are nearly always feminine. Yerushalayim, Mitzrayim. Since masculine singular nouns don't have any characteristic endings, if a noun doesn't end in a "he" or a "taf, and it's not the name of a city or a country, we can safely guess that it's masculine. We then went over the pattern for the masculine singular verb form in the perfect tense, which was introduced last week. For example, shama, he heard. Shamar, he guarded. Zahar, he remembered. Amad, he stood. Halach, he went. Malach, he ruled. And we introduced the pattern for the feminine singular verb form in the perfect tense. Sham'a, she heard. Shamra, she guarded. Zachra, she remembered. Amda, she stood. Halcha, she went. Malha, she ruled. Next, we discussed how in Hebrew, the subject and a verb in a sentence must have gender agreement. For instance, hu amad, he stood. He amda, she stood. David shamar, David guarded. Sarah shamra, Sarah guarded. We then introduced the system of roots, shorshim, and learned how many words with similar meanings are created from each root, and that every verb in Hebrew has a root, most often comprised of 3 letters. This, I think, is one of the most fun aspects of the Hebrew language. So here we have the root mem, lamed, haf. From that, we get these 3 different words and many more. Malach, he ruled, going across. Melech, king, and malchut, kingdom. The next root, shen, mem, resh, gives us another 3 words here. Shamar, he guarded. Shomer, a guard. Mishmar, prison, or place that is guarded. The next one, ayin, mem, daled. Amad, he stood. Amud, pillar. Omed, standing place. And lastly, Zayin, haf, resh, Zachar, he remembered. Zecher, remembrance, and Zikaron, memorial. Another example, Shama, he heard. Halach, he walked. Shamar, he guarded. Zahar, he remembered. Amad, he stood. Malach, he ruled. Okay, so let's look at some of the roots here. Zayin, haf, resh is the root for remember. I don't know why I started on the left-hand side, so we'll go back to the right-hand side. Shin, mim, ayin is the root for hear. Zayin, haf, resh is the root for remember. Hey, lamed, haf is the root for walk. Ayin, mem, daled is the root for stand. Shin, mem, resh is the root for guard. Mem, lamed, haf is the root for rule. We then went over the singular perfect patterns and learned the word and, which is ve. So here we have av, a father, ve'av, and a father. Hamelech, the king, ve'hamelech, and the king. Lastly, we learned the word from, which has two forms, either spelled out as mean or attached to a word using just the mem. Mi bait, from a house. And reading across, min habait, from the house. Me'ish, from a man. Min ha'ish, from the man. Mehamelech, from the king. Min hamelech, also from the king. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to stop the share here. And I hope you enjoyed this little recap of our second class. And the homework is to do the exercises on page 36, 37, and 38, and to memorize the vocabulary words in chapter 5. We added a lot of new content today, but don't stress. We can slow down if we need to. Nitrei b'shavua haba, lehitrot, and tודה רבה.